County Board of Supervisors regular session meeting on April 26, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. at the Marshall County Election Center, 107 South First Avenue, Marshalltown, Iowa. We are called to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sherry, would you call the roll, please?
Pat Jackson, Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Okay. I'll entertain motions to approve the agenda.
I would make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I guess in the lack of a third supervisor, I will second that.
Yes.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Are we going to have any further discussion?
None.
Questions or comments?
None.
Okay, anybody else? Roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes,
Wassick,
Yes.
motion carries. We do have 4 service awards this morning. We have Melinda Mullins, who has been a clerical worker out at the sheriff's office for 20 years. I have always enjoyed working with Melinda. She's meticulous, polite, very, very efficient in what she does. It's been a real pleasure. We have Christopher Christensen, a jailer, has 5 years of service. Michael Malloy, a patrolman 2 for our secondary roads division with 5 years of service. And Scott Jorplin, truck driver, secondary roads, 5 years of service. And thank heaven Scott drives our secondary road vehicles slower than he drives his race car. We'd like to congratulate each and every one of these individuals. We don't have anybody joining us there. Okay. I am going to make a small change in today's agenda. I'm going to move item number 12 right after item number 5 on our service awards. We have an individual that has a previous commitment, needs to get out. Kim, could you give us a brief update on what's new with the siren project, and then we'll turn you loose for your next appointment.
I will. Thank you. I appreciate that. The siren committee met last night. We had received a new information from the state yesterday concerning what was currently available to go maximum to go towards our project and kind of where we sat. So I updated them. It looks like right now it's the best case scenario. The federal side of what Iowa has is $429,000 to go towards projects. We got our application in fairly soon, which is good. So we're one of the first on the list. And if we were to apply for our full $733,000+ project, that would be the amount that the federal could kick in at this point. The state then would do their 10%, which would be $73,000 on top of that. So looking at how big our project is, we need to make some decisions on, do we cut parts of the project out, or how do we split this up? And that was kind of what we talked about last night. Basically, I need to come to the Board of Supervisors, and if we went for our full grant, $733,000, what the city's portion would be, plus their 15%, take all those totals, it leaves $195,000 remaining to be paid on the unincorporated side. That's not counting what the cities are paying. That'd be $195,000 total. So that's if we go for the full $733,000 for one project without cutting anything. If we put in less than that, say around a $500,000 grant, split our project up, we would owe less as the county, the unincorporated part. And we could do the other part of the project with the ARPA funding that was set aside and go ahead and do the full project. That,
The ARPA money is all spoken for at this point.
but we set aside
It
money.
is not reserved.
It was supposed to be.
Our committee has never voted on that.
The Board of Supervisors approved it.
I think we had an intention. We approved a 54,000.
We approved 54,000 in their budget.
For the match.
But that was for the match, and we discussed if there was no grant that came through, you guys wanted to go ahead and go through with a project.
I think we were maybe going to look at maybe the extra dollars that would have been left over if after doing windows at the jail and.
Yeah,
a
I
couple other
think we're gonna
projects.
have residual funding.
Right.
And it was
I think
still
that
in there
was
as
what
a
it was.
line item.
That's
Yeah,
right.
it
Right, but it was never moved over to the committed line. We didn't ever vote on that. on the
Is there a
ARPA committee.
reason that it wasn't ever voted on though?
No, on the ARPA committee, we never voted.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering,
It was still an unknown at that point, the last time we met.
okay.
Because I looked at that after you said that at the last meeting. I went, I don't think we voted on this. And that's when but we still have so many moving targets on
So do you
the windows,
have
the,
an estimate? Because we need to move forward and figure out what we need to put in for our total and how much the city, or how much the county, the cities have already set aside their percent.
so the 733 is the total right now. Correct?
Yes, if we bought everything outright right now, 733.
733. Then part of that is the cities.
Correct.
So
That would
what
be,
is-
the city's portion is 270,000 if they just paid it outright today.
The cities.
And the counties would be $463,931.98 if we
Okay.
paid it outright today, didn't have a grant.
Okay,
That would be the county's portion.
Correct. If we went through and went with applying for 733,000 today, and the cities paid their 15% of their portion, it leaves approximately 195,000 for the county to pick up because there is a lack at that grant level for enough money. It's more than 15%, obviously, but that's because we have a bigger project.
I was gonna say, when I
Or-
do the 15% of the county number, that's just under 70,000.
Right, correct. But we don't, with this project, with what we've proposed, with the 12 sirens, the 3 digipeters and all the control equipment, which adds up to more on our side
Mhm.
because some of that is, it has to control all those. And we come up more because the federal dollars are shorter, if that makes sense. If we could apply for, well, we're applying for 733, but they don't have 733 to give us. They have, at best case scenario, 429. So we need to figure out, do we want to move forward with this project? So I need to sit down with, and of course I leave on vacation this week, but I'd like to get this at least to the point where it's pushed up to the federal level before I leave. But I don't know where we set, what the county would like to do. Do we want to cut sirens in the unincorporated? But that will also cause us to have to possibly have more digipeters because the sirens act as repeaters themselves
They
to
have to be
talk to
so
each other.
close to each other.
Correct, they have to be within a certain vicinity, right? Now this is worst case scenario on the total, the 733, because some of that, we're hoping that we can get some help with, setting the poles, some of that stuff. And, Steve and I are working on that with the consumers and with Alliant, which we haven't met with Alliant yet. We're hoping we maybe get some of that knocked down. And then it's also best case scenario on the 429,000 from the federal side. Because if somebody else gets a word first, that's why I'm trying to hurry and get this pushed. Since we're in there already, we're just waiting to know what total we want to go with. So
Can that 195,000 come out of ARPA funds?
it cannot,
It cannot. can it?
but if we would work it a different way, keep the $733,000 project, cut it down to around 500,000, 500 and some odd.
505, 504, 706,
Right.
yeah.
That would give us our federal 400 maximum, best case scenario, the 429,000 that the feds would kick in. Plus the 50, 50,000-ish from the state, which would be their 10%. And then it would have us less on that side, so it would come from your actual budget. And then the remaining part of the project, and there'll be some money or some number crunching and figuring out where it goes, do the remaining part of the project through ARPA funds.
So this federal money, do you have approval that the ARPA could be used?
The ARPA can be used if it's a separated project. So we're still doing the same project. We're just cutting part of it out as a separate project. So we're taking that project and splitting it out. So maybe paying for 5, 6 sirens out of ARPA funding on our own.
As a
or on
separate
your own.
project?
As a separate project. It can be part of the same project because because the feds, we aren't applying for all of it. It's just be like buying a fleet of cars, but you're purchasing 10 with a grant, and then you're purchasing 5 more with your ARPA funds. So it's not tied in together. It's not one system. It's separate sirens. So you can separate that out. You just can't match.
You cannot match FEMA
Correct.
dollars. with
You
ARPA
cannot
funding.
match anything. So that's why I say if you separate it into 2 projects, it's still basically the same project. It's still a siren project, but we would cut out some of the unincorporated sirens. And they'd be a project on your own for extra ARPA. It's just like in a few years, if you want to add a couple more sirens out in the county, which you probably will, it's just another project. So that's something that the board needs to think about how they'd like to approach that. And again, the 429 is max that the feds would have at this point, but the sooner we get that submitted, the better. And if we submit it for 504-ish, and then you guys decide to do something different, you can do something different.
So we're not locked into it.
You're not locked in.
You know, you've been working the closest on this. To me, it sounds like we should separate this into 2 projects and go for both pots. What are
There
your
would be
thoughts?
no
That's what I,
disadvantage to that anyway.
no, and that's what I sat up thinking about all night, is how can we work this to be the best project, but also get the most money from the mitigation funds.
Yeah, get the biggest bang for your buck and the least effect on the property
Mhm.
taxpayer.
Right.
Are you locked in on your vacation? Is it possible?
Yes.
All right.
When do you leave?
But I am available to talk during my vacation, which is a good thing. This can be a working vacation. So if you guys are meeting on this, obviously the sooner the better. But if you're meeting on this, I can be contacted.
You just can't put it off.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to put off vacation or putting in this application. So how's that sound? But I was very happy to hear Chris Weiss from the state call and actually say we've got, best case scenario, but we do have $429,000 sitting here, ready to spend on projects. He said if we can get a grant and an application in, which I already have the application, but we have to tweak it to figure out which direction we want to go. The cities, obviously, were behind theirs because theirs really doesn't change a lot. They have their 15%. They have their $400 to $4,500, 15% of their 30,000 ready to go. So their side of it doesn't change. It's just because we have all those other pieces of the pie, the digipeters, the controllers, the things like that, that make the system work on the county side of things. Kind of like the radio tower. It makes things work. You got to have it. You can always add to this project later. I think what we've looked at with the 12 sirens out in the unincorporated and the 3 digipeters really looks like a good start, wouldn't you say, Steve? I mean, it can always be added to. I'd hate to cut much, if anything, from the project if avoidable. It looks like kind of the minimum weight to do it.
So what absolute direction do you need today from the board?
I would say that you need to decide and I know that can't be decided today, but decide whether you want to split it and do basically two projects, so you can do some ARPA funding sirens and possibly some other funds if you have other funds. Or if you want to just submit it as one project, the only benefit to submitting it as one project was your 10% from the state, at 733,000 is 73,000 versus so that'd be that 20,000 in the whole scheme of things doesn't make a lot of difference. There is one caveat that could help things a little bit. It won't change what the federal dollars have available, but there's been a change at the federal level on hazard mitigation funds that just came up. It's like a 90-10 rule, but the state has not heard a lot of details that projects would get funded at 90% at the federal level, 10% at the state level, but that really just serves kind of a wrench in it because they still only have 429,000 to spend anyway.
And then there's no state funding, if I'm reading that correctly.
No, that's actually no local funding, but in this case, there would still have to be some local funding because we have a bigger project.
Mhm.
So it would be 90 state, federal, 10 state, but there's still no more dollars in.
429's max.
Yeah, no matter what. So I can put these numbers on paper. Like I said, I've been kind of playing with them, letting Nan kind of look at them as far as, how that goes too, and you guys can.
Please do that, get it to Nan, and then get that to all three supervisors so we can look at it.
Yeah.
And kind of
Yeah.
see it on paper.
And maybe some options.
Yeah. some
Yeah.
options, Yeah.
Give us the options and
Yeah.
we'll go from there. But if you don't need an absolute
Yeah, no.
concrete decision.
Yeah,
today,
I don't think it's fair to have to do a decision today, but if you're going to have a special meeting or if you're gonna meet and talk about it next week, definitely let me know.
Okay.
I'll jump online or whatever when I'm gone, because I really like to hear which direction.
Alrighty,
So, sorry that was a little longer, but it's.
No, that-
Not a problem.
That's what we needed.
Enjoy your
All
vacation.
right, thanks.
Okay, moving on, our next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approve the regular session minutes of April 12th, 2022 and March 2022 bill list. Approve the special Senate session minutes of April 19th, 2022. Approve claims as audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listings of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the current month will be published as part of the first meeting the following month. File clerk of district court report, March 2022 general supplemental fund surcharge, $460.20. File manure management plans. We have 3. PID 295, ID number 65971 at 1670 170th Street, Clemens, Added Acres. PID 296, ID number 69570 at 1806 170th Street, St. Clemens, Added Acres, and PI 333, ID number 67102 at 1444 148th Street, Clemens, Acres were added. This is the end of the consent agenda. I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed.
I will second that. We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda, its consent agenda as printed. Any further comments, discussions, or questions? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Slosson,
Yes.
Item number 7 on our agenda this morning is to consider the acquisition of 2 parcels near 901 East Boone Street, which is approximately 2 acres from the city of Marshalltown, Iowa. This is a discussion and possible action item. We did meet with the city in our first city county meeting, and this was one of the questions we had come up, was to pick up this chunk of land that borders our current maintenance shop on Boone Street. We do have an agreement. There's been drawn up by the city's attorney and forwarded over to us, and our attorney has made some changes. And we've got some answers on that. At this time, we need to have a survey done. And if the sale goes through, that survey expense will be on the backs of the county. I will entertain motions on this approval.
All right. I'd make a motion then to authorize the chair to sign an agreement relating to the payment of survey expenses.
I will second that motion. Any further questions, comments, or concern? There being none, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Okay. Item number 8 on our agenda this morning is to approve the award of contract and authorize the chair to sign contract and bond with Manats Incorporated of Brooklyn, Iowa for road improvements on S-52 and E-63 in the amount of $2,186,634.75. We've got Mark here from our county engineer's office. Mark, you want to go over this real quick before we do this?
Yes, this is this year's asphalt project. Frin 135 is S-52. It's actually Division 1 of this project. Frin 136, I should say, 135 is actually Division 2. 136 is actually Division 1 of this project. When you see the contract, it'll have the Frin 136, but it'll include 135 with it.
Okay,
So I'm asking you to award this to Manats Incorporated and authorize you to sign the contract and bond when it comes.
okay. Between the two, we've got a total of 6.25 miles of paving. Part of which is going to be milling and resurfacing, and part of it's going to be widening. This will be a very nice project. Any questions?
No.
I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion then to approve the award of contract and authorize chair to sign contract and bond with Manats Incorporated of Brooklyn, Iowa for road improvement on S-52 and E-63. Project FM 6064, 135, 55, 64, and project STBG SWAP 6064, 136, FG 64. HMA pavement widening, HMA resurfacing in the amount of $2,186,634.75.
Okay, I will second that. We have a motion and a second to approve this. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 9 on our agenda this morning is to approve Freiholz Construction Company courthouse construction change orders. A portion of these change orders fall upon the owner, which would be the county. A portion of these change orders fall upon storm. A portion of the change orders fall upon code improvements, and a portion of the change orders fall on damages. Lucas, can you bring us up to speed on all these, please?
I can. I guess I don't know how far you want to go into it, so I'll just kind of give the Reader's Digest version. Change order request 16 is something that we've identified as an EMC request or responsibility, sorry. Kind of hitting the big ones here. The change order request number 17 is drywall and framing. This is something that we talked about previously, but now we're actually to the portion where we need to get decisions on approval. So a big chunk of this, which is actually 42,000, is skim coating the existing walls in the building. So as we keep existing walls and change walls on the inside of it, if we don't skim coat these walls, they'll look like a checkerboard through the building as you look at it, with different layers of paint and stuff like that. The wall will just look really funny. So we had to put together a price for skim coating that, so we have a quality finish in the building. My projection at this point is we will split that cost between owner and storm or in EMC with our general breakout. I put a generic kind of 60-40 on this. It's closer to like 63.5%. That's EMC's portion of it. So Nan and I are actually getting ready to work on probably late this week, early next week, our updated billings to EMC. So we'll get an actual proposal on that. So these are, when we think about these, they're actually worst case scenario numbers. There's a couple that we're debating back and forth on cutting some prices down a little bit on these. It's not a lot, but we're doing our due diligence to make sure we get our best price and there's not stuff doubled up. That's the main question at this point, is we think there may be a little double up on a couple of these, but so the drywall framing's a big one. Also on here, there's some money that is part of the code portion, which will eventually go on our damages list, but we had to put new fire barrier gypboard on floor joists on 4th and 5th floor. Since they are wood joists, there needs to be a fire barrier between the levels. It was either that or we had to add sprinklers up above the drop ceiling, which is more expensive and more long-term maintenance. So we went for the one-time thing. So there's a code expense we have there. The rest of these are pretty small amounts. There's about $9,000 for owner. That is some grills and some ductwork that we had to redo on 4th floor. The south entry door was damaged by Perfection, so we're gonna bill that back to them. Back to some of the other big ones, the duct layout is an insurance cost. Really our big thing at this point is this proposal request 14, and we've talked about this before too. It is refinishing all of the historic original wood in the building. We have worked with OPN and Bryholtz both on how we break this out, on whose responsibilities portions of this are. And it was in the packet that you guys got, but when we start looking at it, we broke it out into 3 different sections. So there's wainscot refinishing, there's door frames, there's windows. The stairs are included in the wainscot number as well. We think about the main stairwell from 1st floor to 2nd floor and all the handrails and balusters and stuff there. But so when we got all our quotes on this, breaking out between owner, storm, and code, we came up with about $80,000 worth of that. Wood refinishing is a Marshall County responsibility. $329,000 is EMC, and then there's about $3,300 for storm portions or code portions that we identified in areas that were directly related and responsible to that portion of the work. So at this time, that $3,300 is probably a Marshall County expense. It'll be hard to put that on a damages list, but so when we're looking at this, a good chunk of it is EMC's portion. And like I said, Nan and I are getting ready to work on that here to get our final billing over to them probably next week. So our recommendation at this time is these items need done. If we're going to have, the building that we should have, these items need done. They are in our budget. They've been in our budget for a while. Some of these numbers are actually going to improve our budget. We did some worst case scenario projections. We have made some assumptions that EMC is going to, pay for what we think is their responsibility. If they try and turn us down on that, it'll be a tough road home for them, because I think we have a really strong case there. So we're rolling the dice a little bit, but we're holding most of them.
And this will come out of our line of credit then, am I right?
No, this is just out of our funds that we've set aside
Yeah,
for this.
just the capital projects.
Oh,
Keep-
okay.
Keep
Okay.
in mind, and this is, we have so many things on this moving target. We haven't done maybe as good a job explaining this as we have in the past. We had saved ahead for doing projects, for capital projects. So we had those funds. We also, during the years that we've been doing the reconstruction of the courthouse, have continued to use our budget for buildings and grounds for what's going on in there. That coupled with the insurance money is why we haven't had to go out and borrow money to redo the courthouse. You've got roughly a $38 million project and probably pretty close to
Yeah,
6 million of that is going to be on the county's portion, but we had so much saved ahead of time, plus what we've had in our budgets for these last 3 years. That's why we haven't gone out and needed to borrow the funds. We've been very prudent on this.
We
This
did
woodwork-
get the original
Right.
1.6 when we did the tower loan, because at that time we were going through the code mediation and we did not know how long that would take.
So is that all
Exactly.
we pulled out of that line of credit this time?
Well,
For
the-
this
I don't
project.
think we pulled anything out of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got the 1.6.
Right, that's what I.
Yeah.
But that's it.
That's it.
The remainder, of course, is for the radio project, but that's different. That's the only construction money.
And
we've
part
borrowed.
of that 1.6 was also for the election centers and the annex.
It was really pretty much for code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about the project, it's all the buildings, just like you said. It's
exactly.
what we're sitting in now here at the election center / building and grounds, annex and courthouse.
So that's why we haven't seen this huge burden on the property taxes.
Yes, that's good news. That's.
It is good
That's
news.
good to hear.
This wood finishing, I think we got to keep going with that. It's absolutely stunning.
It looks amazing, and it would be negligent of us to put, basically a brand new door that's bright and shiny into a dull casing. It would look really bad.
That and skim coating the walls is the
Yes.
same thing.
Yes.
If you're gonna do this project, our goal was to do it make it last 100 years, and we want everybody to be proud when they walk in that building.
Absolutely.
And just for anybody looking at the agenda, the storm line item, that means bill to EMC. So that's insurance. That's just what we
That's
called
just how
it.
we identify it.
We've identified it that way at the beginning, and so just so everybody knows, that's the.
Are we closing in on getting close to the end of these?
Yes.
What, do you foresee anything else?
Yeah, there's more coming. But the rest of what's coming are more optional things, not so much necessary. So we'll have some decisions to make on, do we want to do this? It won't be so much, hey, guys, we need to do this.
Okay. Well, we'll cover that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
A preview of what I know is coming is the original vendor we had for new courtroom benches was IPI. They blew everybody out of the water on their
Then they're not
quotes
doing
to
it
build,
anymore.
and they shut that shop down. So there's a decision to make there. Also, there are 2 exterior doors that we already have that are going to be replaced. And then there are 2 more that we think should be replaced. Also, there's another little pet project that we're working on too.
IPI is Iowa Prison Industries.
Yeah.
Do you have a woodworking shop out to your facility? No?
So maybe a lack of quality.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the Bryholz Construction Company change orders in the amount of $551, $554, $86, but $45,
544.
$86, $544. So
I will second that. We have a motion and a second to approve these change orders. Any further questions, concerns, comments? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes,
Wassick,
Yes.
motion carries. Okay, we've got some personnel changes this morning for the Conservation Board. These are part-time individuals and seasonal hires. Ethan Myers at 40 hours a week at $10.25 an hour, starting on or after 5/16/2022, with an end date of 8/27/22. Hunter Huglet at 40 hours per week at $10.25 an hour, starting on or after 5/6/2022, with an end date of 8/27/22. Bill Carey at 40 hours per week at $14 an hour, with a start date on or after 5/14/2022, with an end date of 8/27/2022. And Julie Stahl at 40 hours per week at $12.88 an hour, starting on or after 4/5/2022, with an end date of 9/24/2022. These are part-time seasonal hires that some of these have come back for multiple years that work with our conservation department, doing summer jobs, cleanups, mowings, things on that order. I'll entertain motions on this item of approval.
I would make a motion then to approve the new Conservation Board season hires, Ethan Meyer, Hunter Huglet, Bill Carey, and Julie Stahl.
I would second that motion. Any questions, comments, or concerns? We have a motion and a second on the floor.
I can speak for Mike.
Absolutely.
He had to go another direction here this morning, but he wanted us to be assured that this is very critical to his.
Absolutely. Yep, we've done this year after year, and he stretches this quite judiciously with the dollars. He does a good job. Anything else? That being said, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes,
Wassick,
Yes.
motion carries. Item number 10B this morning is also approved personnel actions. In the past, we've done these all one by one. We're going to read them all and do this in one vote. Number one is to hire precinct elected officials, elections at a rate of pay at $10 an hour, effective June 7th, 2022 only at all polling locations. Hire precinct elected officials, chairs, elections, rate of pay $12 an hour, effective June 7th, 2022 only at all polling locations. Item 3 is to hire up to 8 additional full-time equivalent people, election absentee voting worker rate of $10 an hour, effective May 22nd, 2022 through June 14th, 2022. Item 4 is to hire election special precinct board up to 21 people, elections, rate of pay $10 per hour, effective June 6th, 2022 through June 8th, 2022. Item 5, hire healthcare facilities officials up to 21 people, elections, rate of pay $10 an hour, effective May 16th, 2022 through June 6th, 2022. And item number 6, change rate of pay for Carol Slifer, elections office staff, election effective May 1st, 2022 to $14 an hour. And hire Phyllis Egerbrod, election office staff on or after May 1st, 2022 to $12 per hour. After I read all that, you want to give us a real quick breakdown, because this is just for the elections,
This is
people that
Just
work during the
for
election.
the June 7th primary. The folks counting the absentee ballots, I don't think we're going to need that many by the number of people, but it also depends how many people come in from May 18th to June 6th on how many absentee ballots we have to count. So a lot of it is contingent on volume.
Well, this is a moving target, and it
It
allows
is.
you the authorization to do what you need.
What we need to do. And I don't know how many people will meet here as well, but I think it's all going to be less than that. These are our normal general numbers. So this will be the same numbers we use for people in November. But if we remember what happened in June of 20, when COVID just was ramped, we had a lot of absentee ballots. So it's just hard to know what's going to happen.
So your crystal ball is slightly fuzzy and maybe cracked?
Yes, we did up the pay rate for the first time, I think in several years, like since I've been here, it's been the same rate. And we went from 9 and 11 to 10 and 12. Listening to some other counties, they're up at 15. So we may be adjusting that further, but this was step one, at least it's a double-digit number. Most of these people, they're doing it as a volunteer job. They're helping out the good of society, and I call it a volunteer job with some fun money.
Any question? No. I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
I'd make a motion to approve personnel actions for the June 7th primary election pay rate changes.
I will second that, and that's for all of them, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I will second that. Any further questions, concerns, or comments? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes,
Wassick,
Yes.
that was so much easier than doing these one vote for each line item. Thank you. Item number on 11 this morning is to adopt resolution number 2022-0018, which is an allocation of $7,646,967 of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds, SLFRF, as lost revenue, discussion, and action. Nan, you want to bring us up to speed on this because there's so many letters.
There's a lot of acronyms there. So what this is that, and thanks to Paul Geilenfeld, whose Engineers Association got this out a little bit quicker than the auditors did. This is required for us to say, we're using all of our ARPA funds as lost revenue. It makes the reporting much easier. We have one project, we report everything together. If we split these into separate projects, you actually have to report everything separately. When Maria and I went to ISAC, everybody's doing that. If you're under the 10, it just sounded like all the counties. The gentleman that was on by Zoom from the federal government seen no reason why we wouldn't do this. This is the easiest way to report. It also makes it so that we do not have to have the justification for using it for COVID. We can do up to $10,000. But for us to do this, we need this resolution in place by April 30th of 22.
Okay.
So this is dotting our i's and crossing our t's.
Jeff, hate to put you on the hot seat, but did the city do the same thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't have that much money. You guys did be a large amount.
Just wondered. I'll entertain motions on this item.
Again, I would make a motion to adopt the resolution 2022-0018 allocation of $7,646,967 of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds as lost revenue.
I will second that item. Any further comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 12, we already handled earlier. Moving on to item number 13. This is approval of the renewal of Health Partners Unity Point Health Incorporated agreement for Marshall County Benefit Plan effective June 2022 and authorized chairman to sign. Nan, you want to give us a heads up on this, please?
Yeah, this is just our annual renewal that we need to have signed. We need to have one in place each year. I will let you know that it's basically a page of rates and you're just going to sign on the bottom of the page there because we're self-funded. It's a little bit different and less of a contract type situation. But it's for really North Risk Partners to have that we know what we have for the coming fiscal year.
Okay. I'll entertain motions on this item, please.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the renewal of the Health Partners Unity Point Health Incorporated agreement for the Marshall County Medical Benefit Plan effective July 1, 2022, and authorize chair to sign.
I will second that. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Motion carries. Item number 14 on our agenda this morning is approval of renewal of the contract with Delta Dental Plan of Iowa for the Marshall County Employee Delta Benefit Plan effective July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and authorize the chairman to sign. Discussion and possible action item. Nan, you're back on deck. It's baseball season.
It is. So this one, Delta Dental went up just slightly. We still had some good things going with our Delta Dental plan. So it was a very small increase. We did have another option to go with Health Partners on our dental, which was a very interesting proposal. However, the employees lost a lot of benefit with that. They did not get that carryover. And recommendations from Northwest, from Skip and Lacey said, stick with what we've got. The cost was virtually the same. There's a big cost savings. We could start looking at it and maybe make it cheaper for the employees or something like that, but it wasn't worth making the change with all we were losing.
I would definitely recommend staying with Delta. I know we've been with them a long time, and everybody seems to be very happy.
Mhm.
I'll entertain motions on this item, please, if there's no further discussion.
I'd make a motion then to approve renewal of the contract with Delta Dental Plan of Iowa for the Marshall County Employee Dental Benefit Plan effective from July 1, 2022 to June 30th, 2023, and authorize the chair to sign.
I will second that. Any further discussion, questions, or concerns? No. Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
Moving on to item 15 this morning is the approval of Sourcewell Employee Benefits Program for renewal of life and accidental death and dismemberment and long-term and short-term disability benefits from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023, and authorize the chairman to sign. This is for discussion and possible action. Nan, you're still on deck.
I know. So we had some slight increases to our life insurance and AD&D rates this year. But Skip did go out, tried to look for other bids. This was still the cheapest option for us. They haven't had a pay rate increase according to Skip in 17 years. Seemed, yeah,
It's almost unbelievable.
it really is. So, but that was, I was kind of surprised by that. Mary went back and she thought it was 12, which is still a really great number too. So it's been a long time we've had the same rates on the life and AD&D.
That's huge in this day and age.
It-
Slight increase.
It was a slight
That's just
increase, and he
almost
did try to find another, he wanted to have somebody to play against him, and he couldn't find anybody that was less expensive.
Did we get lucky enough to lock it in for multi-years, or are we just doing 1 year?
Well, that's 1 year,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
June 22nd, June 2022 through June 30th of 2023.
Yeah,
Okay.
our fiscal year, yes.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion then to approve the Sourcewell Employee Benefits Program renewal for life, accidental death and dismemberment, AD&D, and long-term LTD and short-term STD disability benefits from July 1, 2022 through June 30th of 2023, and authorize the chair to sign.
I will second that. Any further questions, comments, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Wassick,
Yes.
On to item number 16 on our agenda this morning is to approve the voluntary insurance coverage for accidental expense and critical illness, possible changes of providers from Colonial Life to a surety life insurance company beginning July 1st, 2022, and authorize the chair to sign. Discussion and possible action. You're still on
I'm
deck.
still on deck. So we don't have a lot of participation in our voluntary deductions, but we've got an opportunity to go with a surety. It was just slightly cheaper than what Colonial was. However, they provide a bigger array of options and also have a lot more, I'm going to say, employee support for the options. So they plan on being here, 2 of their representatives, during our open enrollment period, and will be physically present, which I thought was a great piece. And it is really nice if some folks have cancer insurance is one good example of something we don't offer here at the county, but it's something some people want to have, and the opportunity here to do it through payroll deduction versus paying it out on your own. If there's somebody that has something with Colonial Life that they would like to keep that policy, those are what's called portable, so they can take them with them. The same thing would be for a surety. So if I signed up for something with a surety and then I left in a few years, I could take that with me. It's portable and I could continue to pay on my own. So that's the nice thing about these optional is they're really always portable. You just have to figure out how to pay them on your own.
Okay. Once again, we need to point out that this is voluntary insurance coverage. This is
No
paid for
expense.
by the employee,
100% employee paid.
and it's what they wanted. So if they're paying for it, that's what they would like. I'll entertain motions on this item.
I'd make a motion then to approve voluntary insurance coverage for accidental expense and critical illness. Possible change to providers from Colonial Life, but to a surety life insurance company beginning July 1, 2022, and authorize the chair to sign.
And I would second that. Any comments, questions, or concerns? There being none, Sherry, roll call vote, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Clausen,
Yes.
Item 17 is previously tabled. I don't think at this point we need to go past this and untable anything.
No.
Okay, you were the individual that tabled it, so you control putting it
All
back.
right.
So we're gonna leave that as tabled. Moving on is item number 18. This is public forum. This is a time set aside for the public to make comments of topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. Anything for the good of the order?
I would like 2 minutes before we start.
Okay,
Just a moment.
You ready for anything? Or are we waiting on him?
we're waiting. 2, please. You only ask for 2 minutes. We could sing.
No, we couldn't.
You could.
You could sing. I'm not singing.
You really don't want me to say. That could be a problem,
That would be a really big problem. Rhonda and I should be locked somewhere then together.
right? I mean, I could make dogs howl. Let's just be real there.
Yeah, yeah.
we should ask Steve to sing when he returns.
Yes.
He can actually sing. Yeah.
They did have a really good program for men's chorus this year.
They usually do.
It was hilarious. They had a lot of new songs. New outfits, so to speak.
Like literally
Didn't
what
say
they were
that.
wearing.
Curious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They kind of did a back to the 60s thing and it was
They didn't do the
hilarious.
full Monty thing then?
No, Kyle from the radio station was the MC. It was just, we never quit laughing.
That's good. Man, Kyle's always, he does a great job at stuff like that.
Has anyone been to the library to see the Holocaust?
I've heard people talking about it.
I haven't been there, but I want to go. But this Thursday night at the Sheraton Hall, there's a presentation on the Holocaust former report coming in. 6 o'clock at the Sheraton.
This Thursday.
Okay, that was fast 2 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
But we all decided you needed to sing when you came. Okay,
So the only thing I have is we're still looking for election workers. So if you're interested in assisting or want to find out more, please reach out to our department. You can come up to Great Western Bank second floor and at the auditor recorder counter and talk to our staff there, or reach out by phone and we'll explain the options. So we're still looking for some people to fill things up.
Jeff,
Where would you like us to stand?
you're fine right where
Okay.
you're at.
So Jeff Schneider, 1906 Crawford Lane here in Marshalltown. I'm on the city council as a member at large, but today I'm here on behalf of Trails Inc. And so the Governor Reynolds allocated about $100 million. Well, let me introduce my friend Pat before I get going here. You can understand why we're here together. So go ahead.
Pat Hemming, Mayor of City of Albion, and we are really looking forward to this trails to get at least through Albion. We've got Larry Raymond has invested a lot in a park up there, and our city, we're struggling, and we've got a council now that we're really progressively looking for to expand our community and to support the Trails Committee.
So what we're here today for is we are applying for Trails Inc. Applying for a grant, this Destination Iowa Fund, for paving an additional 1.75 miles of trail from where the trail currently is today, about Radio Tower Road, and going 1.75 miles toward Albion. This September, we'll be releasing, the DOT will be releasing a bidding process. We're building our next 4 bridges, 2 through 5. When that's completed, it won't be rideable because we won't have trail. And so this would be actually paving the trail piece. The total project estimate is $1.4 million. We have been awarded federal rec trails funds and Region 6 TAP funds, Transportation Alternative Program funds, for roughly $500,000. The city of Marshalltown next meeting should vote to approve a $250,000 pledge toward the paving. And the Trails Inc. is throwing in $50,000 of our funds from donors. So that will give us a 60% threshold, which allows us to apply for the additional 40% of the project, which is roughly $550,000 or $560,000. So it's a really great opportunity for us to get this trail put in. It will realistically advance the timeline of getting to Albion by about 2 years. Remaining after that, we have 4 more bridges, including the big bridge over the river, and then I think it's roughly another 2 miles, 2.5 miles of trail. So we still have a ways to go after this, but what we're asking for today specifically, and I know you can't take action right now, would be a formal letter of support for our grant application to the governor and the people involved with awarding the application. And we think that would go a long way toward, expressing the public support for the project. Secondarily, we'd like to ask the supervisors to either contribute to this portion of the project, or maybe a yearly contribution, or just some letter of intent that when we come again asking for money, if you would consider it, because we really do believe this is a big project for Marshall County, benefits a lot of people in Marshall County, helps work toward economic development, especially for cities like Albion, obviously Marshalltown. So we think this project's a real winner. So thanks. If you guys have any questions, I can give my business card and get in contact with me.
Through Region 6 and the Transportation Alternative Programs TAP, this is something that we have voted, and I am the one that represents our board on that. And we have always voted for those funds to go to you guys. So there is participation from the county in the support there. Obviously, we can't take any action this morning, but welcome coming and talking to us. Anything else for the good of the order? Harold.
Yeah, I just like to comment. I've been here before. Trails. I'm sorry, but I find them a real waste of money. And I know the county in the past hasn't participated in it, and I would certainly encourage you not to again. I live in the county. I've got lots of bridges that need to be repaired. I've got a bridge that I drive over every day. The 3 of the 4 corners of it are gone and so forth. We've got bridges all over the county that are underrated, posted and so forth. We've got money. If we've got any money to spend, it could be spent a whole lot better than a bike trail that goes nowhere and nobody uses it. I pay particular attention, and I count on one hand probably the number of people I see riding the trail. We've got the trail out here that I call goes to nowhere along Highway 330. The wife and I play a little game. I said, you count and see how many we got. If we get to the other end, what's your count? Same as it was, 0. I'm sorry. They promote it as a economic and development and so forth, and that's why people come to town. No, people come to town for a good paying job, a good school system, a good healthcare system, and a good safe community. That's what they come for. They don't come because they can ride on a bike trail. And if you're working a factory and standing 8 hours or 10 hours and pound on a machine, the last thing you're gonna do is go out and put your butt on a bicycle seat and go pedal for 5 or 6 miles.
Appreciate your comments. Anybody else for the good of the order?
I would just like to make a comment if I could. With the clerk.
Absolutely.
I haven't attended a meeting like this for quite some time, but I want to commend all of the county employees that have been working so hard in the restoration of our beautiful historic courthouse. I know that you have expended a lot of time taking good care and making sure it's gonna last 200 years, people. So I thank you all for your hard work in dealing with all of the big dollar money. And I am so blessed that I don't have that kind of money that I have to worry about it. You guys do a great job, all of you.
Thank you, Linda.
This would be a good time to recognize Lucas and Nan too.
I
They have
told-
just
Yes, I
been
have told them.
rock
personally.
stars.
Well, you notice I got a chair as soon as I came in late. Thank
You could have
you.
got a chair either way.
I know.
They've made it easy for us, so easier anyway.
You worked very hard.
Any other public comments?
So this is Mark Eaton. Oh, sorry, that's a little loud. I'm a little concerned with the public-private partnerships because when we transfer the public money to the private entity, we kind of lose control of that. We can't FOIA request it. Bidding processes are not the normal bidding processes in the public domain. I see from Trails Inc.'s charter, their charter is to acquire and maintain recreational trails in and around Marshall County or charitable, educational, scientific use of such trails. $50,000 in donor money versus the millions now in public money seems a little lopsided. Also, Trails Inc. board members are the only way you can find out who they are is on the tax forms available on propublica.org, and those are outdated. And I've been unable to get a hold of a list of the current board members. So if you're going to do this, maybe we can have a little tighter control of this information and public disclosure. Thank you.
Anybody else for the good of the order? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We're going to move on to item 19 on our agenda this morning, which is adjournment. The next regular session is May 10th, 2022 at 9:05 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the county auditor or recorder's office or the board of supervisors office by Wednesday, May 4th, 2022 at 12 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 10.